Hello, and welcome to another Togetherness conversation. I'm Gavin, and today we're going to talk about how to maintain momentum as a solo entrepreneur when life just takes you off and when stuff happens. So, if you're new here, I help solo entrepreneurs who work alone and who feel a sense of isolation because of their work, and I help them to feel a sense of connection and community around them. So today, I want to talk about how life kind of just happens sometimes. Like you'll be working, doing your stuff, whatever project it is that you're working on, and something may happen. It may be a legal issue. It may be a family member needs help or something. Or, I don't know, maybe your mood's just off and like binge watch Netflix for a couple days. And what ends up happening is that we lose momentum on our projects. And the question is, how do we get back to it? And sometimes what I've noticed too in myself and with the entrepreneurs that I help is that we sometimes get angry at ourselves and upset at life. Like, oh, I was going so well before, and now I have to start over again and start a new routine or whatever it is. It's kind of the whole thing of falling off the horse or something. Get right back on, right? If only it was that easy. So I thought about the word momentum, and I really thought about where else have I heard it before, and I thought of cars. I was like, that's a really good analogy, and I wanted to share this little idea with you. So imagine that you're working, right? Like you're just gunning it. Like you're just getting things done, being highly productive. Everything's working out awesomely. Like you're happy with the things you're producing, your clients and your customers are happy with things you're producing. To me, that's momentum. That's like moving on the highway at like just a little bit above speed limit. That's right there. Everything's wonderful. But of course, there are times when there's traffic on the highway and you have to slow down. Or you maybe have to come off the highway and like take local roads because that's the destination. That's how we are. And when we're going to stoplights or whatever. The thing is that when we're on the highway and we're moving at top speed, we're in high gear, right? We're high performing at that level. The car and you and all of us are high performing at that level. The question is, do we get upset when we have to go to a stoplight or when we're in traffic? Yeah, sometimes. I do. Sometimes. I don't like traffic so much. What ends up happening when we press the gas again? The car doesn't just jump from 0 to where we were before. We have to ramp up from 0 all the way back up to 60 or 65 or 55, depending on what highway you're on. And internally, the car also has to go through the gears. It has to go through gear 1, gear 2, gear 3, all the way back up to whatever gear it was when you were gunning it. So I bring that analogy because I thought about the idea that when we stop and we lose momentum, it is good to leave ourselves some kind of breadcrumbs to get ourselves back up to speed. You know, before I say that any further, let me give another example. So I thought about what it was like to be in a corporate office or working teams, right? And how much easier it is to actually maintain momentum when we have other people around us. Now, it could be that kind of positive pressure or eustress where, you know, it's kind of like subtle competition. We see other people performing and we want that for ourselves too. Or it could be the negative kind of stress where like we have deadlines or we're going to get a bad review if we don't do it, or some kind of repercussion from our team members or from our superiors if we don't meet deadlines and if we don't maintain a certain level of momentum. And sometimes that's kind of annoying too, because, you know, you can be like, oh, these heartless people, they expect us to always be performing, because life happens. Things happen at home, things happen in our life, and we lose momentum, right? And that's part of the reason why I think a lot of us became entrepreneurs. We wanted that kind of personal freedom to be able to deal with things in our life and be human when the human things happen, when the human things pop up. So I'm a fan of looking at the positives and negatives of things. And the positive side of being in a group or a team is that we do have other people around us to kind of keep us motivated and maintained and kind of push us when we're not at our best, let's say. But the downside is that we have some kind of oppressive kind of force, some external force over us that doesn't really feel too good. So that's the reason why we all became entrepreneurs. The positive thing now is we are our own boss. We get to dictate what we work on, when we work, that kind of thing. But the downside is we're our own boss. So we kind of have to create that kind of incentive for ourselves and get ourselves to do things. And it's really hard when we by ourselves. So how do we get back momentum or maintain momentum when life inevitably happens? Well, just like a car, we can't go from 0 all the way up to 60. And I've never really driven a manual car before, but I've seen when people try to start the car in or drive the car from 0 while they're in 4th gear, the car barely moves. If at all, it might even stall. So the right thing for a car to do is to move from gear 1, gear 2, gear 3, and changes whenever we're back up to speed. So that idea made me think of this tip that as solo entrepreneurs who work by ourselves, one man or one woman team or crew, to give ourselves little breadcrumbs, give ourselves, I'm a fan of breadcrumbs apparently, but give ourselves a process, our own internal process in our business, in our life, that whenever we do get taken off the path and get distracted, right, off the track, to give ourselves some kind of system or mechanism or steps, little checklists. Say, hey, whenever I get taken off, do this one tiny little thing. That's gear 1. It's something simple, something low investment, low energy, something even our mind is oh yeah, I could totally do that. So there's very little resistance to it. And once we do that, then we're moving up 5 miles an hour to 10 miles an hour. Oh, I already kind of have some momentum. Let's keep going. So we move into gear 2. And then you set yourself what gear 2 would be like. It could be, whatever process it is that you have. But set up those systems where you're giving yourself little easy to do steps to get yourself back up to speed. So by the time you look, within a few hours maybe or minutes, you're way back up to speed to where you were before. Make sense? So give yourself that gift of planning it out, because remember the idea that we fail to plan, we plan to fail. So in this case, we're going to have a realistic view of life, and that we would love to always be up and on and moving at high speeds all the time in our life and in our business. But the reality is that life takes us off and we have to slow down. It is clever to give ourselves a step-by-step plan so we can get ourselves back up to speed reliably and get back to it as what we were doing. One of the intentions I have for this channel is we're all working individually by ourselves as solo entrepreneurs, and I want to cultivate this kind of virtual team, a virtual community, for now, that you don't feel like you're in it by yourself. We're in this together. That's really something that I am motivated by and passionate about. I mean, that's kind of why I do what I do. And I want you to feel supported by me and by the people who you interact with in your life, because we need you to be at your best and to do your best. And if isolation or feeling alone or any struggles that come with working by yourself, I want to give you as much support to get past that so you can bring your best to us and also feel your best in the process. And know that we love you. I hope this helps. Let me know in the comments what you think. But until then, thank you for being here with me together. And see you next time for another Togetherness conversation. Peace.